All right. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Aniki coming at you with another My Hero Academia chapter live reaction 291 and a happy Father's Day to myself and those of you who are fathers out there. I don't have the baby at the start of the stream, but you might hear her randomly doing her baby thing. How have y'all been lately? Let's see. Oh, that's weird. What the? Oh, snap. Why is it trying to air private? Yeah, I don't know. It randomly tried to go private, so let's go. Details. No, it's saying it's public. Let me see something. That's weird. That's very weird. Is it visible now?
Refresh.
Should be. It was randomly saying private, but now it looks like it's okay. Yeah, no, we're good. Lamar Arrington, Jalen Bex, and Tiger Blaster. Thank you. Your comments let me know that YouTube just had a visual bug. Thank you, because I was like, man, I have not marked anything private. Why would I want my stream to be private? Then nobody can watch it. So thank you for coming through on this day. Hope everybody's been doing well. I did reread My Hero Volume 2 last week, in case anybody is interested in that. So that's a stream that's on the channel now. And then there's not much to say. I mean, we left off on a pretty short chapter. I'm hoping that Horikoshi takes another break. Not so that I can do more reread street content, but just because he needs to, obviously take a break. We're getting a lot of short chapters, and obviously part of that is, just the stress he's been dealing with and whatnot. Ma'am, relax. Angel Manning, thank you for the happy Father's Day. What up? What up? Cameron Bailey, the true star. All right, let me go ahead and slap this in the Discord too. Let's see. My boy Keith sent me a message. Hey, thanks, nigga. He specifically sent me a happy Father's Day, nigga. I gotta say thanks, nigga. I don't know what you just said, baby. I mean, it's possible, but whatever. This one is currently unlimited. So, take my phone off the number pad. Let's see, did somebody already post the screen? Nope. So then I can real quick. And everyone, we live. Oop, that says 23. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the chapter. Get started, y'all. Let's see. Left off with the Toto fam. The chapter was kind of suggesting that it was gonna be a little shaky on the, possibly go over to Uraraka's battlefield, but at the same time, it's Father's Day while it's a United States holiday, and I don't know if everybody else around the world celebrates it the same day or even has it. We know that they do pay attention to that kind of stuff, so it'll be curious to see if this is, the Toto fam, and most 91s since 191 have been Toto fam chapters, or at least related to the Toto fam. So we're going to see what's going on here. Oh, looks like we're cutting straight to the Uraraka battlefield based off the very first page, because the first thing we see is all heroes must die in a huge array of twice clones. There's no end to them. And this one's called Rejecting the World. Stay back. And we got Pixie Bob trying to fight wave upon wave of clones with her Earth Flow. Actually, a really great perk for trying to deal with a twice wave. If she was a bit more aggressive or wasn't as worried about collateral damage, she could probably just start spiking people, but And then we see clones that got ripped apart flying like above her, getting torn through the air. splitting as they're falling. One of the things that was kind of cool, if you remember during My Villain Academia, when Twice was like, when one of the Twice clones got smacked by Redestra as he was dying, he made a second clone to go grab Giran. So Ryuko, ah hell, if we lose her earth flow, then the dam's gonna be breached. Yawara. This is looking kind of rough. Sad Man's Death Parade. Let's see. Toga was making doubles of the version of herself that had transformed into Twice. Toga's own transform quirk had a time limit based on the amount of blood ingested. But the heroes and authorities had no basis for guessing how much of Twice's blood she'd save, not that knowing would help them. Because once that dam burst, the resulting horde would overwhelm the surrounding area in no time. And we see Shoto passed out. Wow, let's see. We see Shoto passed out. We see Natsuo and Fuyumi are still awake. Let's see. We see Ida passed out with his legs still smoking. And Hawks is standing there with a sword guarding Tokoyami's body. And Uraraka, drop dead, hero. Toya, how did it play out for you? Did you meet your end? Have I lost someone again? Zero gravity spacewalk. And then let's see. I know we haven't shared much since last summer, but I've seriously had a big change of heart. I'd already told you, it's too late for that. Well, I'm sorry for the delay, but I mean, I managed to find you. Just shut up. You were crying back there because you can't do everything Twice could. You can't totally become him. Can we assume Hika's love doesn't extend to Shigaraki and those others, and that's why she can't use their quirks? That's what Sue guessed, but all heroes. Seeing Toga's tears told me all I needed must die. You've got bloodlust mixed in there, so you're not working off pure love. Shut the hell up, Ochako Uraraka. You don't know the first thing about me. And we see Toga starting to untransform from Twice. Let's see. But what is she making a different clone here? Or I'm trying to figure out what's inside the giant mouth, because it's not Ochako. It's something else. All right. Unfortunately, short chapter. Let's see if the bishops feel like talking today. Let's see. All right. Invite link. Let's see. Tragically short chapter, but I'm hoping that Horikoshi's taking a break. I'm actually about to go look at the jump app now just to see if I see a delay in the scheduling. Because anytime this happens, I'm like, man, Horikoshi has got to be tired. Let's see. Thank you, Tobufu, Mr. Andrew, Alves, Devontae Kemp. Yes, the first Father's Day. And you can just hear her talking in the background because she's a little Gene Bean baby. Pretty girl. What you doing over there? Could be soon. Yeah, I'll shoot you the link, Joseph. I'm actually surprised Horikoshi didn't take the very obvious funny route and give us more NG stuff. But that means because it almost feels like that stuff didn't fully finish. Either that or this man is just struggling with himself to such a degree that we really do just need him to take that break for like a month. I mean, if Oda gets to take a month break for his astigmatism, I feel like we should be allowed to have Hori on break. Even if he's not the richest or the most selling, he's still one of the most successful mangaka they've had. And you would think that they'd give him a little bit of flexibility here. So I'm hoping that we can get him to just slow down. Hey, Seth, happy Father's Day. Thank you for the happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you guys who are bad parents, or not bad parents, but our parents, because I know we got some that are in the church. She's already watched Attack on Titan. She watches Attack on Titan with us. Young Justice isn't an anime though, do you? Damn, twice what it came the meatball guy. I mean, you would think that like meatball guy would have just been folding stuff out. I really hope that if we're not gonna get like him taking a break before wrapping up some of these other plots, I at least want a break before we get to the final stretch of the story that's going to be centered around Deku and whatever else is going on with Shigaraki, All For One, All Might. That final leg of the story, I really need to just really need them to just go ahead and let him take a break. Maybe even force him to take a break. Oh yeah, that's right. I was going to check to see what if we're getting a chapter next week, because we shouldn't be, because Horikoshi should be taking a damn break. But is he going to do that? Probably not. Nope, new chapter in 7 days. Man is gotta take a break. Like some people are like, oh, we want Horikoshi to just quit the manga or just hurry up and finish it so that he can take it. And I'm like, no, I don't want him to finish it. I don't want him to rush and finish it because I don't want him to be unsatisfied with the conclusion of his series. I don't want that to happen. And I feel like if he keeps putting out these 10 9-page chapters, he's going to be unsatisfied with the conclusion of a series. And I don't want that for him. I want him to take a break, take a month, 2 months, whatever. Hell, Gege got to take a 3-month break. If Horikoshi takes a 3-month break, let him take a 3-month break, because we know he's still going to draw. But if he can at least take that break, not be susceptible and worried about deadlines so he can work ahead, because I'd rather he just actually take a fucking break. But he's probably not going to do that. And I don't think any of us expect him to actually do that. I think most of us know he's going to just fucking work ahead. So at that point, force this man not to have to be worried about deadlines for at least 2 to 3 months. Let him get the damn chapters written in advance. So then he's worked ahead. So then he has more room so he can actually complete these chapters and write them in a way that he'll be satisfied with when he looks back on his work. Because right now he's forcing himself to just get as much of the information out as possible, as fast as possible. And we all know that Horikoshi is just going to end up, for some of this stuff, he's going to end up trying to go back and add pages or spreads and stuff like that in the volumes. So I'd rather he just get to do it in the first place, and then he doesn't need to make all these edits retroactively, so he can be happier with the product. Give me that baby. She being Princess Fussy Butt. I saw that face. Oh, maybe she's okay now. He's talking a lot. Yep. Hori needs to come back fresh for Deku versus Shiggy, correct? It's so strange to me that Hori overworks like he's All Might or something. So this is one of those things that I think that people don't like to acknowledge, that because even in the volume 2 when I was reading it, and like Hori talks about being like, oh, he's in a little pervy stuff. So he's like, he thinks Monetta's a little funny, but the person that Hori is most like is Deku. And unfortunately for us, that means we have a mangaka that refuses to acknowledge ripping himself apart. And that's why I think it's interesting that he struggled. I think some people find it weird that he can't, or he hasn't written a part where Deku like fully acknowledges that the self-sacrificing shit needs to cut down on that. But the journey you're wanting Deku to go through was the journey that Horikoshi needs to go through. And because he hasn't been able to personally, it's like he wants to acknowledge that it's bad, but there's a part of him that is so dedicated to his fans, so dedicated to getting the book done, so dedicated to not being canceled, that he cannot handle putting in, like, having Deku come to the conclusion that he himself needs to come to. And that might seem like a leap into like an over psychoanalyzing Horikoshi, but that's also how I've got some of my best predictions in the series. I'm not gonna lie to you. Just the guy needs to take a break. He needs to rest. He needs to go home, take a shower. Hey, pretty girl. And he needs to just give me that baby. I'm gonna stick her in my jacket. Give me this adorable baby. Unless you get fussy, then I'm gonna have to give her back to mama. But I want this baby. It's Father's Day. Give me the baby. Hey. How's it going, pretty girl? Yeah, yeah. 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 Have to look at your baby smile up close. Okay. Yeah. Are you gonna beat your dad up? That's okay. You need you to get tough. Yeah. No, you can give me a couple more punches. But yeah, I wouldn't want Sarah and Ayamo Battlefield to be one. And that's the thing is that, like, all of it's true. Like, at this point, Gege, like Oda, like some of his mentors, some of these people need to just like, yeah, bro, take a break. Like, we need them to just kind of sit them down, make them take a break. Because you know, hey, she was kicking a bunch before this. Now, yeah, we clipped your nails, didn't we, little baby? Because you scratched yourself. But no, like it would be nice if somebody in that office sat Hori down and was like, look, bro, you got to chill out. You got to take a break. It's not good for you. It's not good for your health. You've been struggling. We got to do something about that. Because, I mean, at this point, that it's obvious. And it sucks, but it's just what's necessary. And what I do like about this, but like, you know, let me talk about the actual chapter instead of just talking about like Horikoshi needing to take his ass home. This does to me communicate that like we're probably not seeing Shoto fight for the rest of this. The dedication of Hawks to like still be standing quirkless, just holding that sword. I respect it. I respect the fact that he's like ready to fight, as ready as he can be. This what I like is that I always wondered if Ida's joint training art was showcasing. Hi. Yeah. Showcasing where he was gonna go. And with the fact that Ida, you know, was throwing Shoto, trying to get him where he needed to be, and just didn't reach it because his legs got crushed by or almost got crushed by the building. It's kind of nice to see that, like, yeah, his legs gave out. Yeah, that was like Horikoshi kind of like playing around with ideas for what Ida would do with Shoto down the line, but he also still did succeed and he's still awake. And maybe that comes into play, you know, with the fact that he can rip out those exhausts. Maybe one of the things that'll be important to Ida is that as he's leveled up his quirk, his exhaust will recover faster, his engine can heal better, be put back together, whatever the case may be. And maybe that's something that we see Ida managing to get back into the fray. But at the same time, him just kind of having to, you know, sit there and recover isn't a bad ending to his section of the story. I just wish we would have gotten a little more for Ida, only because I think Ida, even though he wasn't centered around combat, and centering him on combat was a mistake for his character's journey, I think it still would have been nice to just see a little extra. Let's see. Could Jump force Hori to take a break? I mean, they don't have any problems assigning new editors for rushing authors. So Jump could force Horikoshi to take a break. The problem is, and I think My Hero is unfortunately in this really weird spot, and that because it isn't, how do I put this? It's one of the less Japanese mangas in the series from the standpoint of a lot of people feel like they identify it with Western sensibilities. Like a lot of people feel that way about My Hero. But the thing about Jujutsu Kaisen, KNY, and One Piece is that each of those magazines at some point have like been doing crazy numbers. Like their anime like made them like blow up in such ways, or with One Piece, the Strong World movie came out, and there was around the time of Marineford, where they've given these mangaka like huge flexibility. And even though mangaka within the series or the industry respect Horikoshi, and the jump heads like love Hori, My Hero has been this really successful manga abroad, but because it hasn't had that same impact in Japan, I feel like in WWE terms, they view like Gotoge and Oda, and I think even Gege at this point, like world heavyweight or WWE champions. MHA is still really successful in Japan, but MHA is more successful than a lot of other manga have been in like the US and some other countries. That's not my point, Cameron Bailey. But like in WWE terms, kind of feels like Horikoshi is the Intercontinental Champion. And what the Intercontinental Champion of the US title is in WWE is like this second tier champion that they have a lot. They don't always main event. Sometimes they're doing like mid-card fights or something like that. Just like big title. They have title matches in regularly scheduled programming. They have pay-per-view matches too, of course, but like they're expected to be on the show a bit more. They're expected to, just deliver more and more and more. They're kind of workhorses where they sell decently enough, they're popular enough, and they just put in a ton more time, whereas world champions are, more specially treated and given a bit more like Mr. Andrews said, which I mean, obviously the My Hero movie was doing like historic numbers as well, but yeah, and so I think there's that discrepancy in how they treat him, not realizing that like if they give him that extra bit of time off, he can come back, start knocking it dead again, and really keep the magazine afloat. Whereas I think that, and the reason why I say that he's I don't even know if I want to call it that, because it's to a certain degree, he's kind of like in between that second tier of mid-card championship and main event championship, because it's almost like he's main event talent that they schedule in the mid-card to make sure that the mid-card is always safe. Because Black Clover is what I would consider like true mid-card, not like in the sense that I'm calling it mid, but like the sense that it's allowed to take a break, because it's not like, it doesn't hinder the magazine. So to a certain degree, it's like Horikoshi is in between these two tiers for the magazine and how they like book him. Like if they were matchmaking, right? They want him around to keep that same level of main event draw, but they don't want to treat him like a full-blown main eventer. But he also doesn't get the flexibility that comes with either role, because the magazine can't really afford to have somebody like Oda on break and My Hero on break, and then for a long extended period of time. But it could take a hit, like let Black Clover take a break for a while. Like Tabata got like a 3-month break. Oda's gotten like a 1-month break here. No, he got a 1-month break back. He gets breaks, or just like break weeks every month or so. Like once every 3 to 5 weeks, there's a break for One Piece. So we kind of just need to see what he's going to do as far as, or what they're going to do as far as letting Horikoshi, take up, which I'm hoping that, with like something like the End That Unluck anime coming out. I know some people have been watching the MASH anime. Hopefully those series get like a bit of a surge in sales, so that Jump can feel a bit more comfortable letting Horikoshi take a break. Hey, Tanisha. Baby, ain't that right? We want Horikoshi to get to take a break. We don't want him to be stuck working all the time. Nobody likes working every single day. That's terrible. See that? See how that? She was like, damn, that's not good. Ooh, ooh. Uh-oh. Ooh, it's the dancing baby. Ooh, you the dancing baby. Yeah, yeah. Nothing. Nothing. Yeah. It's Father's Day. You got to watch me be a father. And I said, babe. But I spent a lot of the stream talking about jump. Let me recenter. Let me recenter. And just talk about the quick. So, based on the amount of blood it looked like Toga gave Dobby, and I'm pretty sure they said like she only had about an hour's worth of time transformed as him. We should, hey, yeah. Um, ooh, what's up? You stretchy? You hitting that gum fruit? Okay, so, which obviously I don't think that they've necessarily successfully killed Pixie Bob here. I think she's going to be injured. I think this is a case of because Ochako is actively working with Toga. To me, it doesn't seem necessary to kill Pixie Bob here, even mostly due to the fact that Ochako's big moment here is going to be stopping the parade. That's what her moment is centered around here, stopping the parade. So we don't need Pixie Bob to die in order to get that point across. Because if she's so much as taken out of commission, then it's obviously Ochako's credit. And she doesn't need to he doesn't need to be beaten the crap out of it or out of Toga to make that happen. Toga making clones of herself already transformed her twice, so each new twice is almost an hour of being transformed. So I want to believe that that's the case, but we also don't know if the cloning regiment or time span is based off the base Toga or each clone's individual timer. So that's what I'm curious about, because ultimately the reason why they say it doesn't matter is because if she can make that, then the question is can she replicate, dozens to millions of times in the span of, fucking 30 minutes? And the real answer is if she creates 2 clones and each of those clones create 2 clones, then all of a sudden you have a total of 7 Togas, because it's 2 clones who created 2 clones, which means 2 people created 4 people, who then go on to create 8 people, who go on to create 16, who go on 32 to create 64, to create 128, who go on to create 256. And then it just keeps snowballing from there and there. So, and you can do all that with twice a squirt within, 10, 15 seconds. So once you get that 256, when you got 512, and once you got 512, you got 1,024. When you got 1,024, you got 2,048. Once you got 2,048, you got 4,096. Once you got 4,096, you got 8,192. And then boom, double that again, you got 8,000. So like the speed and like the way 2 just doubles when you double it and give it to the next person is kind of unhinged. Look, it's not East's fault. He still got love for Hori. So I think it needs to be a combination of both, because, and this is probably controversial, but the whole reason Toga ended up this way is because she was always met with rejection and violence. So having a situation where she is, instead of being met with nurturing or respect and love, when the whole point was that she was met with violence, rejection, and hatred the entire time, be resolved with more violence and rejection, kind of doesn't make sense. It's kind of like, oh, you just didn't get your ass beat hard enough. And I don't think that's the message that the story is going for. So I don't think that's the route that it makes sense to conclude Toga's story. Whereas, because we've seen like Toga's final moments, he's getting what he's always needed. He's not getting he didn't get like a final ass beating, right? Like Shoto didn't show up and stomp a mud hole in his ass and then walk it dry. What happened is he tried to go nuclear. He was frozen multiple times. or he got cooled down to the extent that like he was cooled from the inside and out. And then he kind of got to think about it, like, yeah, he said he hated his family still, but he kind of thought about how it was nice to have that attention finally. That's why we get the young Toya in the trench coat, smiling, and welcome aboard Joseph Shola.
Happy Father's Day.
Oh, thank you. Ain't that right, Gene Bean? Say thank you, Uncle Joseph. My client says thank you.
So sorry it took me so long to get on. My computer's not the best.
No, it's okay. This thing is almost 8 years old. It might be even older than that. So, how have you been, Joseph?
I've been working. It's I mean, I make cars, so it's like hard work. So
Yeah.
oh, she seems very active today.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I was reading the chapter. I couldn't help but think like the art was so detailed. I think that might have more to do with the lower page count than maybe anything else. Because I've seen some monthly series that don't have art that looked as good as it did in this chapter.
It's definitely think that you're right. He is kind of going really hard on the details in these chapters. I just also know that he's been doing a lot lately.
Yeah.
And
well, with how I know they usually have like 2 or 3 chapters submitted at any time. So like this one could have been submitted like before he took that break.
yeah. Uh-oh. Keep going, Joseph.
Okay. So I mean that could be a part of it as well. Where like so like this might have been during that period where he was getting ready for the volume release. And yeah, like the mangaka, like in their schedule, like it just, how do they find the time to do all the stuff that they do with like the extra pages for the volumes, the like little information that they add into the volumes, plus while still working on their series? It's just, I just don't know how they find the time.
Well, I think Oda once released his schedule, and it basically showed that he sleeps for like 4 hours. So
A day or a week?
a day.
Okay.
But that's nuts. And I think
Yeah.
Mora had a similar schedule. So it's like, maybe we shouldn't be doing something that relies on people sleeping 4 hours a day to get it done. At that point, that's just not healthy.
No, it's really not, because like even because I've had some times where I just did not want to like get up or move. I was just so beat up, like feeling beat up both physically and mentally from my job. I know he's hunched over a lot drawing, so like that can't be good for like the back and anything like that, which is probably what Tagashi's issue was, because I know he has bad back issues.
Like a lot of them have horrible spinal injuries and stuff like that, which causes many people to, that's part of why some people retire, even like they just can't do it. They're like, nope, my body cannot keep up with this. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like, I know Goto ended up going and helping their parents with some stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out that part of them, opting out is like, well, my manga randomly became like a 80 million book selling series. And even if they don't get paid that well, I'm sure that like they have like at least some percentage points. And at that point, like you still made a good chunk of money to live off of for a while, and you can kind of shop around and see if you want to get a different series, or maybe apply to be like a fucking TV show writer for a children's show. because that's lucrative.
Yeah,
Like a lot of people don't realize it, but like those kid show writers some of them make a good amount of money. So
yeah. What has Kubo had another series since Bleach entered? I know he's got Burn the Witch, but that's like not really consistent.
I don't think so. I think he made Bleach and like existed off royalties.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have done something else, like maybe wrote like other. Well, I'm kind of curious because I'm sure he released some data books and stuff like that for his fans. But
I know he had that one shot about a year or so ago.
yeah, the Bleach the Hell one that was like
Yeah, it
super good.
it teased like a new arc, and then it's just been radio silent since, which probably won't. If anything does happen with that, it probably won't be until after the Thousand Year Blood War anime
Yeah,
concludes. Which
let's see. I'm trying to see if he has anything else. Let's see. Well, I mean, he's made. Yeah, I guess he's been credited for those Can't Figure Your Own World novels too. So, and then he worked on Dragon Quest and Sakura Wars.
oh,
He did the character designs for Sakura Wars and the character and weapon designs in Dragon Quest X or Dragon Quest 10.
that's
I don't
neat.
know. I don't know if it's actually an X or a 10 though, because I don't remember how many Dragon Quest games there are.
There's at least 12, so it's probably 10.
But yeah, so I mean, he hopped on a couple projects here and there, but man has largely just put out a couple art books. He's got 3 art books out, and 5 data books with 3 novels since then. But yeah, he's largely just been kind of eating off that stuff.
I mean, he worked on Bleach for like what 15 years, so like
Yep.
he deserves it. It's like
if Oda were a worse person, he could be like, the One Piece is this, and I'm done, and just leave.
Because I know Oda's actually taking a break now for eye surgery.
Surgery. Yep.
Yeah, which I mean, I wish that someone could convince Horikoshi to take a short break. But I think just having those 2 series not work out just really burned him. And he's afraid of that happening again.
Like, yeah, homie just gotta relax a little. But I think more people like genuinely, I don't think we'd get that unless it was genuinely like a class 1A versus Deku scenario where they just like talk him out of it. Because otherwise it's just
I'm pretty sure that when that happened in the anime, there was someone made like a little meme about with that, like having Horikoshi like over Deku and like a bunch of other writers and artists for manga with over the class 1A people.
Need it because man, like, and it's not that it's bad material, it's just so short that I feel like it just doesn't feel like what he's usually doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
like during Deku Black, I thought people were kind of exaggerating, and I still feel like Deku Black, like the Deku Black Hori's not doing what he used to be doing. Like, narrative is exaggerated, but here, no, I'm like, bro, the last time you did this, the last time he was putting out chapters like this was during joint training.
When he was sick and moving.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, man, what's going on? This isn't looking good. I just don't want the dude to die before he gets to complete his work. And I don't want him to complete his work and then not like what he did with the ending either. Because I think he'd vocalize that, just like how Isayama, and I don't even think Isayama did anything wrong when he ended his series. I think that what really happened is that people are always getting into the weirdest pissing matches about how edgy a series is. And they thought the AOT ending was going to be peak edgelord energy, and it was actually some whole other shit entirely, because that wasn't the point of the series.
Yeah. I- yeah. Oh, actually just, I need to run off real quick. I'll be right back though, okay?
All good. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, no spoilers. Yep. The long running ones with millions of sales probably, but it's still a lot of work. Oda, for instance, I can't imagine as needing much money to work on the live action. Let's not forget huge talent in the series. The mission was supposed to be 20 or 30 volumes. Oh, okay. Actually, let me address the live action One Piece thing. Just because somebody brought that up in the chat. Do I think that the live action One Piece looks like straight up abysmal? No. But because like I think Buggy the Clown's design is fucking horrifying. Like I actually like Buggy's design for the live action One Piece. But and I think this just has to do with the fact like when people have always said like it's hard to make stretchy powers look good in live action. And I kind of agree. I think that it'll always just look weird because at the end of the day, it's what's known as the uncanny valley. There's kind of no way to take something that's especially human and exaggerated, you know, digitally and while still keeping it very human without it getting into that territory. It's unfortunate, but I still think it'll be somewhat enjoyable for. I think if you're a fan of One Piece, the anime and the manga, I think it's going to be a hard watch because it's inherently going to have to lose certain aspects of the series. But I also think that if you're the kind of person who enjoyed the politics of One Piece and you enjoyed the deeper like nuances of the series, I think that stuff can still be there. Obviously you see they still bicker and joke around and stuff like that. So it might kind of feel, and I hate to say it, it'll probably feel like a bit like a Marvel movie, but One Piece has always been in that same vein because of how goofy it inherently is. But I still think that there's hope for it. I think it can be enjoyed. I think it's just going to come down to whether or not you're like super attached to One Piece. I think that's going to be hard. And I think this is one that as manga readers, as long-term anime watchers, whatever the case may be, we may want to not speak on what we get out of this because I just don't see it being able to be what people want it to be. Like, just it's not physically possible. And I know people were like, "Oh, the episode count is so low." Da, 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 da. And all I can really say is like, what's going to be important for the overarching theme and narrative of One Piece, and what we get in the series. Because Oda meanders, and he will tell you he meanders. It's gonna be a hard pill to swallow. That yeah, things aren't going to be able to be the same. Like Luffy isn't going to be eternally 17 if we get a one like in the One Piece live action. If we get more than one season, why? Because people don't stay the same age. So Luffy's going to have to age in the One Piece live action to make the story fun. Like in the just because that's what people do. They age. So I think that people are like super down on it, but I think it's just a little almost impossible to do in a way that would actually make people happy also.
From what I've seen, it's mixed, but I think edging slightly towards more positive. Like I know, like I've never made it past Alon Park, and I'm just like I thought that I really warmed up to Luffy in that trailer. I just like he had this right infectious energy that just I made me really want to see what he's up to, and I really like the the interaction that we saw with Zoro and Nami in the trailer. So I'm actually looking forward to this as someone who never really got into One Piece. Hopefully this will be what finally snags me. And I know that's what Oda said that the intent of this was, is to try to get the series out to a wider audience. And so this basically may be One Piece Kai, essentially. Which it probably needs, to be honest, over 1,000 chapters and still going.
Because I kind of look at this as likely going to be the East Blue Saga, which it's supposed to be like, what, 8 episodes? Yeah, Cameron Bailey says 8 episodes. So depending on how much of the East Blue stuff they want to cover, if they want to meet Laboon or not, or hit the Grand Line or not. But there's some stories that I think people are going to be upset to see cut, but don't actually need to be there. Like the dog story, where they meet the dog at the town that was sitting there waiting for the mayor or whoever to return. That's based off a real life story of a dog that will wait at the train station for its master every day and blah, 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 blah. Like, that's probably not making it into the One Piece live action. And why? Because what does that actually add to One Piece? Really nothing. Like, it gives like spirit, but it's not important. And just like you guys said, like Rip Gaimon fans, unless Oda does something to make Gaimon really important, we can kind of get rid of him. We can kind of get rid of Buggy's gag on the island and all that other good stuff.
And Oda is directly involved with this, correct?
I believe so. Look at this little baby. He's sleeping. He's a sleepy baby. You don't get to sleep on your dad.
Yeah. So I imagine that he, if not suggested, approved of any condensing and omissions that happen.
Well, he's probably gonna streamline the series more towards his original plans. Let's see.
Yeah, I remember reading that it was originally planned to go 5 years, and here we are, like 25 years later, still going. Let's say, went for a walk, a little bit lost.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm like looking at this, and it's just because the episodes where we meet certain characters are gonna be stuff that covers, like, for example, we can have Luffy meet Alvida and all that other stuff, whoop her ass and all that good shit in like 10 minutes. As long as the Captain Kobe is actually introduced, we should be good. So we got to meet Kobe. But at the end of the day, like, some of this stuff, it just isn't going to be as important. So I just look at, we get Luffy's childhood with the red hair pirates, and as long as we get the information we need, introduce Alvida, just because we know we're going to cycle back to her later down the line, as long as we make it a point to have these characters introduced properly. And I think the main thing is to make sure that we get Baratie done well, the Usopp Pirates introduction done well, and then make sure that if we're going to get to Log Town, we do Log Town some justice. But, oh, and of course, I want the All Parker stuff to be done well. But the other stuff, a lot of that is going to be able to be kind of shifted. And I think, it's just going to have to be evaluated as its own thing. That's all I can say, is that it's going to have to be treated as its own thing. Like, it's probably going to have some bright spots, but it's probably going to be bright spots that people who read the manga don't even see as bright spots. That's kind of how I see that happening. But yeah, I'll circle back to this My Hero chapter real quick, even though it's pretty short.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was like a big setup chapter as well.
Yeah, big setup chapter, and we're kind of one of the things that we ended up sitting there and kind of exploring is like what Dobby's power and like his quirk was, and we kind of got to see the flaw in how it was perceived, in that he started freezing himself from the inside, and it's like, oh, this is power that can only be accessed when somebody's near death, blah blah blah. But it's all stuff that like maybe if we had actually let Dobby learn how to turn down heat and mess with different temperatures, maybe that would have been enough for him to actually be able to tap into it at some point. But Toka and Ochako's arcs have always been about emotional expression and repression. And one of the things that I like about this that we're talking about now is a lot of people assume that because they cry or because they're willing to get angry with people and all this other stuff, because they're emotionally expressive, they're emotionally intelligent. And here, Toga is finally being confronted with the fact that while she may express lots of feelings, she doesn't really analyze what she's feeling, and she doesn't think about what she's feeling, which means she doesn't actually understand what she wants outside of a very surface level interpretation of her own mindset. And it's dangerous to live on the surface within your own mind. When you live on the surface within your own mind, basically set yourself up for doing things or making decisions that you normally wouldn't or don't have to, or taking risks that you shouldn't, solely because you don't grasp those feelings. And so Toga's obsession with people, like the harming of them, she needs to recognize, like, okay, where does my desire to harm them come from? I mean, really like these people, but is this actually a trauma response to the fact that for example, her parents were always like, oh, we love you, Toga, but you're too weird, you're too. And so part of her is always rejected people. And then like you mix that, like that constant rejection from her parents, which we see like, after she was gone, people were like, oh, that cursed demon child, XYZ, Lord Decoast. To a certain degree, it kind of feels like people are gonna like sit there and realize, oh, Toga's kind of replicating, and also by extension through her quirk partially replicating the same twisted love that she understood from her parents, because her parents were always yelling at her, and that's like the first form of love she's experienced. There wasn't gentleness in that correction, right? It was just, don't do this. I actually have not been watching the Jigo Karaku anime. I need to just sit down and watch it at some point. I'm probably going to rewatch Arcane with my wife today, if she's down, or at least watch a couple episodes of it, because we've been playing League together, and it's been a great bonding exercise with its ups and downs that come with playing League. But it is what it is.
It's Mappa, so many minutes probably got sacrificed.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned that they had adapted like 4 chapters in an episode, and I was like, see, if I were directing this season, from what I
Only a
understand,
single core, right?
Yeah, I think it's only a single core. I guess they're not going to rush the entire story, thankfully. But from what I understand, they've already introduced the Tenzin. And if I were directing the story, I wouldn't have had to meet the Tenzin until the finale. I would have had them meet the Tenzin episode 13, and that would have actually been the cliffhanger finish. They would have like walked up and seen what they perceived to be humans on the island, and that would have been the end of the story. Like, yep, no, whoop. What's happening here? You don't know. Come back next season if you want more answers.
I think they don't like to
Ooh.
leave single core shows on cliffhangers just in case there's not a second season or if there's years between the seasons.
Oh, I'm evil. I believe fully in the because and I blame this on the fact that I grew up watching TV on actual TV, especially, right?
Mm.
Because when we grew up, Joseph, because I think you're like
I'm older
4
than
years
you.
old. Yeah, I was like, you're like 4
Uh,
years, maybe. I don't know, maybe more, but either way, we're both from the era where TV shows actually ran the 11-minute segments and then 4 minutes of commercials.
yeah.
We both remember that time period.
Mhm.
So there are plenty of shows would do like their first season and ended on a cliffhanger. And if you got another season, you got one. If you didn't, you didn't.
Hmm.
Or
A lot of times cliffhangers to try to convince the network to
yeah,
greenlight a second season, and sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't, and sometimes you get some really upset fans because it just no ending.
yeah. And it's like, cool, you're upset. And what that does is always open the door for people to complain and like write letters and say, we want another season, we want this. And then maybe you get lucky and you get a movie down the line, something like that. Like it created, gave a lot of people opportunity. So I don't think people should shy away from the cliffhangers, just because I think that sometimes it's what it takes to make sure that people recognize, like, oh no, there's more to this story. Like I loved when Young Justice season 1 ended, even though the way that they aired Young Justice season 1 and season 2 was really fucking weird because they like
They're out of order.
no, they aired Young Justice season 1, its finale, like the last 6 episodes of season 1, and then immediately ran like the next 7 episodes of season 2 with no break.
Oh,
Yeah, it was really weird.
yeah.
It was really weird. But the original, season finale of Young Justice season 1 is you find out there's a missing 16 hours. And you're like, what happened in those 16 hours? And you don't know. That's just the end of the season. So if that would have been the series finale, you would have been like, damn, I really want to know what happened in those 16 hours. I thought, let's see, I don't think season 3 ended with a cliffhanger of sorts. And season 4 did too. Like every season ends with some kind of cliffhanger, except maybe season 2. Hey, baby, did season 2 of Young Justice end with the cliffhanger? Do you remember? Which one? Do you remember what the?
I'm gonna see. I'll check the wiki to see.
Okay. But yeah, like True Star people would write letters, buy merch, and post on forums and stuff like that. And that's how you would get stuff back.
I think that's how Star Trek got its 3rd season way back in the 60s.
Like people were like, nah, dude, what do you mean you're canceling this? Yep. And oh yeah, and like Tanisha saying, because then because you also used to have the oh yeah, Cameron Bailey, that's right. The Vandal and Dark Side thing. But see, and that's kind of something that's why I don't mind when chapters end on cliffhangers and stuff like that. Like you can abuse cliffhangers. Like every episode can't be a cliffhanger. But your finale can always be a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Like season 1 of Heroes technically ends on a cliffhanger. Like you can take it 2 ways. You can be like, that dude definitely died, or that dude is going to be okay, maybe. I don't know. Oh, Spectacular Spider-Man? Yeah.
Like
Look,
I'm a bigger fan of seasons ending with like the adventure continues sort of feeling. So that way, if it doesn't get picked up, it's still satisfying enough that you're not like pulling out your hair, trying to figure out what could have happened next.
I think that there should be. I think some plots should be closed, but there should always be. I won't say there should always be, but there's good reason to have like room for the story to continue in some way. So, like Young Justice season 1, I think that the final battle was satisfying as hell. But I also think that the cliffhanger they introduced was awesome. And it was a good way to say, like, all right, if we get another season, cool. If we don't, we don't. And that's something that Weissman has actually said that they like try to create, right? Like they try to make these scenarios where if they continue, they can't, if they get continued, they'll go ahead and do it. And if they don't, well, shit, they managed to conclude it. So not the end of the world. But I feel like we have almost zero ability to talk about this chapter because we keep getting sidetracked.
Well, it's
So,
just like
it's so
there's
small. It's so
yeah.
small.
It's like short chapter, and then it's like we said, it's like setup. It's like it's going it's to lead into what happens next. It's like this was all set up for their confrontation, which
Yeah.
I do think it's going to be more verbal than physical. Because like their like Toga's thing has like always been, you know, wants to have a talk, a chat, and but of course, like the way she grew up, there's she never really experienced the right way to go about it. It's I'm also really curious, since I don't think we ever found out anything about them. What do you think Toga's parents' quirks were that it resulted in drinking blood to transform?
Ooh. See, that's actually a good one because we don't know enough about them.
Yeah.
I could see it being something extra harmless on the surface as like fangs.
Yeah.
And then
imagine something to do with blood, and then something to do with like transformation or illusion, and they just sort of combined to that. I know like it was somewhat popular in fanfics for a time that Monoma was actually like a cousin of Toga's, or a relative of some sort, since like he can copy quirks and she can copy, because like this was mostly before MVA, and realized that she can somewhat use people's quirks when she's transformed.
So that's what I've been trying to figure out. Is like what, because I don't think she's a full-blown deviant the same way that Shigaraki's quirk is. Hey, little baby, you waking back up? But she's very clearly not what they expected. And so it does beg the question of what was going on with their quirks. And maybe their quirks were totally unrelated. Maybe it was just something simple like this person can tell other people's blood types. But I'm really not sure what the hell could it, because we've gotten so little of them. We haven't even gotten a visual of her parents from what I can remember.
Yeah,
I think the most we saw was like their arms while they were like, please just stop eating the bird. So I'm hoping we get something to deal with her parents next chapter, and something that maybe like Ochako gets to bring up her parents. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is still a fight, because I think that there needs to be some aspect of like
there's gonna be a
Toga's
fight,
resolve.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fight, but it's not gonna be like Toya or Shigaraki. It's like those were like, there's only one way to stop them, and that's to fight. But like they're gonna fight, but it's gonna lead into a conversation.
So I think basically what we're gonna have to come down to is it's gonna come down to it's like a conversation, and I think that the conversation will stall out enough that maybe we get some pie plates dropped so that the rest of the clones are taken out, but then we get like a small hand-to-hand thing that Toga's heart isn't fully dedicated to. That leads to her being defeated.
Now
But something like
we
that.
saw Hawks standing with the sword. Are they close to him?
I believe they are.
All right. Okay,
They're-
I think they're gonna wind the way over to him, I think.
Yeah, it would almost be a missed opportunity to not incorporate Hawks into this in some form or fashion. Just because the dude is clearly like attached. So maybe he oh, I got a Father's Day message from an old friend. Maybe he goes out of his way to acknowledge, hey, I took your friend's life. And I think that we've looked at like one of the signs of Toga's growth and maybe restarting is that, or maybe like how she restarts, I should say, is that she meets Hawks and Hawks opts to like offer his life to her just to protect Tokoyami. And because she's felt that pain, she opts to not put that pain on him.
Yeah.
And in the process, they like let her escape, so to speak, so that she ends up being the league member who never gets caught and gets to start to live a normal life. That could be an interesting conclusion to her character, is her finding a way to like live and love. But I don't know. Let's see, the twice one will spot Hawks and Toga will make a beeline towards them. It definitely, that plot line has to hit a close at some point. Hey, your mommy wants to hold you. Your mommy wants to hold you. Your mommy wants to hold you. Yeah, your mommy wants to hold you. But yeah. So, and like you said, Hawks can barely hold a sword. So I don't think Hawks is going to be out here, sword fighting Toga. I think that if what we'll get is just something.
Like he'll take a defensive stance over Tokoyami, something like that.
I mean, if Toga kills Hawks, it'll be because he got his ass pounded by All for One and is exhausted.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's where her story needs to go to reach its conclusion. I think she almost needs to have a story that revolves around her escaping and getting to find peace somewhere and maybe getting to go into hiding and living a life on the lam or some kind of reform.
Kind of like Riva and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Or she just couldn't go through the revenge part and needed to get away for, multiple reasons in her case, but
just something that's a bit more skewed towards that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know horror in Star Wars.
So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and but I am gonna go ahead and call a wrap on this one because we've gone an hour and over half the conversation was on other stuff. It's too short of a chapter to really dive into. Obviously short doesn't mean impossible, but in this situation, it's a transitional chapter, so there's not a whole lot to talk about.
Transitional chapter with a very short roundtable.
Yeah. But do you get any final thoughts, Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It's excited to see where it goes from here. That's pretty much it. For me, bad is the absence of good, and there was no good absent from this. So I liked it. I'm can't wait to see what happens next. Hopefully this did come out before Horikoshi took that break, and hopefully that break was enough that he can go forward with what his typical output is. So yeah.
Hoping that we can get like a real chapter, good substance, not something that's not necessarily without substance, but just super short. And I appreciate you for stopping by, Joseph. We've been on this shorter chapter, and I appreciate everybody who decided to tune in, even though this stream is shorter and had a lot less material to really cover than usual. Thank you guys.